Thank you, Cleopatra. Thank you, dear friends, dear panelists. We all know each other quite well, and we have a lot of collaboration. So I hope, despite the short amount of time available, that the panel will be a constructive one, and I'm sure it will be, given the expertise of the panelists. So I'll be short as well and brief in my comments, but very happy to take any questions if you feel that clarifications are necessary. First of all, start by congratulating Mr. Nicholas Kyriakidis and everyone involved in the Cyprus Forum. It's such an important initiative. Dialogue is the start. It is the foundation for the formulation of healthy national policy, and through this platform, I hope that we will have some tangible results, not just today, but also throughout the ongoing effort, which I hope will be a very long and fruitful one. As Cleopatra said, we are entering a new era where the Green Deal for the EU is the #1 priority, and it really changes the landscape in terms of not just the state and what the state is supposed to do, but also what the business world and what each and every one of us as individuals is going to need to do in order to be part of a healthy, greener society. So it's no longer about being environmentally conscious. Being environmentally conscious maybe was okay, 5 years ago, 2 years ago, and doing a few CSR actions as a company was probably enough, going out planting a few trees or cleaning a couple of beaches. But nowadays, we all need to have the environment and the environmental policy at the core of our strategy, and that really changes and shifts the way that we need to think and the way that we need to plan things. So where does the state come into all of this? The state, I think, needs to facilitate and give the tools to people and to business so that they can reformulate the way that they work. And so what are we doing as Ministry of Energy, Commerce and Industry? Well, all 3 pillars are very, very relevant to this objective. So we have to be doing things, at least from our side as ministry, on all of those 3 pillars. But obviously, we cannot take any of them forward without collaboration with every single other service, ministry, deputy ministry within the state. We have to start thinking about how to operate in a way that is not linear but circular. And that is a really, really key idea. As Michael was saying earlier when we had a brief discussion, waste is no longer to be viewed as waste. It is something useful that can be turned into raw material for something else. And in order to achieve that, what we're doing is a study, of course, on the circular economy. The state does a lot of studies, but this one is going to give us an action plan for Cyprus, where it indicates a pathway on how we can transition to a circular economy. That is part of our industrial policy 2030. I think an important point to make here is that in Cyprus and in many parts of the world, we tend to vilify industry and say, oh, industry's so heavy, it's so anti-environment. And the key is not to view it as environmentally harmful, but to see how to make it environmentally friendly and how to make it work within a society that has different expectations and different standards. And I think that we can do that in Cyprus. We have some extremely high quality members within the industry world, and they are striving in that direction, and we need to give them the tools to be able to do that. So I'll get back to the funding measures in a second of how we are offering funding to individuals and to companies to become more green. But before I get there, I would like to mention a few really important infrastructure projects that the Ministry of Energy needs to facilitate in collaboration with some very strategic partners, one of them being Delphi and Delphi, the chairman of which we have here with us, and so I'm sure we'll hear much more from Dr. Kassianidis on the subject, but a very important aspect of transitioning to a greener economy is bringing LNG to Cyprus, for the moment by means of import, but eventually through the exploration of our own reserves in a sustainable and responsible manner. Another project that is very important is connecting Cyprus in terms of the energy consumption and access to energy. We have two projects called Euro-Asia Interconnector and Euro-Africa Interconnector, which will enable our electricity grid to be connected with those of the rest of the world, so Europe, Asia, Africa. And that's really, really important because in the future, renewables, the idea is that renewables will be free-flowing from country to country, and Cyprus needs to be part of that connection. So those projects are considered very important. We're placing a lot of emphasis on pushing them forward. But at the same time, we have to also look at storage, which is another major issue in terms of renewables. What do we do with the huge amount of sun that we have and the huge amount of resources that we have? We need to be able to store it. So we're doing another study, which is going to be ready by the end of the year, on how to introduce storage systems in Cyprus so that we can increase the level of renewables within our energy mix. And both these projects, storage and the interconnector, are crucial in that regard. We have 223 projects that have been approved within our planning. And those projects, together with household measures and measures taken by companies, are going to bring our renewables mix, our renewables level rather, up to 700 megawatts. That is much higher than our 2020 sort of indicative goal, which is 528 megawatts. But we have a lot more potential than that, and that is why these projects are so important. Going on to what the state needs to do to facilitate all of this. The infrastructure projects are important, but offering and providing funding to people and to companies is equally as important. So the ministry is following a very ambitious plan. We have decided to more than double the amount of funding, the amount available for funding programs. So in the last program period, we had about 120 million. And in this program period coming up in 2021, we will have 270 million available for funding of companies and individuals. And that means we have to work extra hard to make these projects happen. So one of the things we're doing is digitizing our system so that we can examine all the cases more quickly. And the other is we need to reinforce ourselves with staff in order to be able to do it. Within those funding programs, we have 30 million for digital enhancement of businesses as well, so that they can take part in this effort. 10 million for circular economy, and 20 million for funding through clusters, which is very, very important for small businesses, of which we have very, very many in Cyprus. We also have about 95 million on energy-saving projects for people, which have proven to be extremely popular, and we plan to continue them into the next few years. For larger projects, we're also trying to do a one-stop shop for the approval of renewable projects, and that we believe is going to give an easier framework for people, for businesses to apply, so that we can make the projects happen, as I said, much sooner. So I won't take up much longer because I understand we are pressed for time, but hopefully all of this will help. Thank you very much, Minister, and have a good discussion.
Thank you. So are you confident that we will be carbon neutral by 2050?
It's a very difficult task. I think all countries are going to be faced with challenges. I think Minister Garousos is going to perhaps touch upon some of the challenges and some of the things that we're doing. However, that's the aim. I think we need to aim high and we need to do everything we can. And dialogue, collaboration is extremely important, as I mentioned before, because the whole of society needs to be engaged. It's not just about one ministry or even the whole of government taking action. It's about everyone taking action.
Thank you. Thank you very much.